Welcome to the Pinning Combination High School Edition, our first of 2026. I'm KJ Pilcher of the Gazette, alongside Dick Briggs, the former Cedar Rapids Jefferson wrestler and coach, Hall of Famer, jack of all trades when it comes to wrestling. Back on the mat officiating too, as well.
I'm pretty sure that I've cleaned the wrestling mat up in the wrestling room at Jefferson High School more than anyone in the history of it. So you're right. I can even clean mats.
There you go. There you go. Well, the season is resumed here. We'll talk a little bit about this first weekend of January. Some of the teams got back on the mat and competed right away. We got a big weekend coming up as well. And also we've got a little bit of a fun activity that we're doing. I'm really looking forward to this mock draft of Metro schools.
You got a coin? I didn't bring a coin.
This is kind of fun.
We're gonna have to. It might come down to the coin toss.
Yeah,
which team wins?
Yeah, right.
I forgot a coin.
And when we're done with our draft, I'll talk a little bit about something that I really wish. I don't know how it would get off the ground. I've talked to some people about it before, but talk about something that I really wish the Cedar Rapids Marion area would do or somehow get established. But
cool. Okay.
We'll talk about that in between the last week and this upcoming week. But let's take a quick look at last week. Some of the tournaments, we were talking about this, and it's kind of interesting that not most of the events on this weekend were duels. There were dual events. Only Osage had kind of a individual tournament, really. But other than that, just dual. Is it just because of where they're at in the season and coming off that break, or?
I kind of wondered myself. I think sometimes the calendar shifts. You know, I think it has a 7-day cycle or 8-day or 10 or whatever, and then I forget now. But so then the calendar shifts, and so you have more of your break after the first instead of the first. Yeah. Anyway, so and there's a rule that you can't compete between, I'll say, like December 23rd, whenever it would fall to. You can't compete before the first. So there's many times the Iowa teams couldn't go to the clash or whatever because it was before the first. So maybe that calendar kind of felt funny this year where it gave them an extra weekend in January, and now they're filling it. I think that's probably what happened. So they're filling it with duels because, tournaments you can't run a tournament when you can only run it like 2 or 3 years out of a 7-year cycle.
True.
So, anyway, so I think that's might be what happened.
Well, let's take a look at a couple of them. One of them that kind of stands out to me, the Lisbon Lion duels. Mount Vernon and Lisbon. That's a rivalry that goes back many, many years. A lot of battles between those two programs. For goodness sake, you could throw a penny from Lisbon and have it land in Mount Vernon. The communities are that close. And heck, you even have an old Lisbon guy as the head coach at Mount Vernon. I was talking to somebody from Mount Vernon, and there are Mount Vernon kids that go to school at Lisbon, and there are Lisbon kids that go to school at Mount Vernon. So it's essentially it's one giant community that are split, have a rivalry. And last year, Lisbon, Caleb Brown hit a big pin for them, and they knocked off Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon returned the favor this year, 42-26, beating Lisbon, which is a top 10 team in 1A. Mount Vernon, they've been a decent team here recent years, going to the state duels. This year, They've got some good individuals, maybe not quite the team balance from top to bottom, but still a good showing for the Mustangs.
Oh yeah, and when you started talking about that rivalry, immediately into my head popped the Randalls versus the Algers and the Buttresses versus the on and on and on. And so
oh yeah,
and oh man, there's some battles. I remember when I first got back to Cedar Rapids in probably 1981 or two or whatever. It was over at Lisbon, and that was a raunchous crowd, and it was fun. It was many of those names I just mentioned, and Goodall and Williams for the Mount Vernon, and Huffords, and then just the Lisbon team. Oh geez, I think Lisbon ended up winning that meet. That was a burner. So there's been some fun rivalries through the years with those people.
Oh yeah, and I remember when we had Tim Johnson on the pitting combination last year or the year before. We talked about that rivalry and stuff, and yeah. I've heard some stories that probably aren't safe to share at work about some of the things that have gone on during those meets, and let's just say it's heated, and at times there is no love lost between the two programs.
Yeah, they may, and I'm not sure they were real close friends after the meet was over. No, I don't know about that. I'm just teasing. So
yeah. Well, Mount Vernon, they came away with a title there. We mentioned that win over Lisbon, 42-26. They beat Cedar Rapids, Washington, 76-5. Highland, 45-30. Clayton Ridge, 74-4. So dominant there in those other duels for the Mustangs. Lisbon, which finished second, they beat Cedar Rapids, Washington, 66-15. Highland, 58-21. Clayton Ridge, 63-18. And remember, they went into the break winning a team title at the Regina Invitational there. So, Lisbon thought it might be a little bit of a down year, but I think, this is still a pretty salty team that they have there. We mentioned Brown, a couple Happels, in the lineup, Cale Stricker as well. They've got some good talent there. So they're going to be competitive, especially once the postseason comes around.
Right. And you mentioned they're a top 10 ranked team right now. So that's for a reason. They're always going to put tough competitors out on the mat. That's just Lisbon.
Sure. One of the other dual tournaments in the area that kind of stood out to me, Williamsburg had their holiday duels the first weekend of January. Alburnett was there. Iowa Valley, which is a team, kind of looking at them right now. They're a good 1A team. That's a team we're going to have to kind of look at. They've got Kriegel and Hoyt and a few Smith, few quality wrestlers there in the middle of their lineup. They end up getting third behind Williamsburg at second, but Alburnett, definitely the number one team there. They ran the table. They beat Iowa Valley 58-20, Grinnell 73-6, Montezuma 78-6. English Valleys, they blanked them 82-0, and then finished it off for the title, beating Williamsburg 48-16. Great start to the second half of the season for Alburnett, which, when it's all said and done, I think is going to be right up there, in that top five, hunting for a trophy in Class 2A.
Yeah. Good. Alburnett, Williamsburg, Iowa Valley. I like Iowa Valley. I've been able to rough down there last year and maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I just like the way the growth of their program. So I'm glad to see that happening.
Yep. They really have done the last few years. They've had some really strong individuals, and of course Nolan Kriegel outstanding athlete. He's somebody on the football field. He's an amazing force, and on the wrestling mat, he's really good as well. As we mentioned, Mason Hoyt at 175. I'm guessing those guys are practice partners, and bump heads a lot in the practice room. And of course, that whole iron sharpens iron mentality. So how many times have you seen workout partners really push each other to a higher level? And I'm guessing that's something that happens with those two.
Exactly.
So just looking at the Alburnett-Williamsburg duel, which is, probably the top matchup there. Alburnett came away with about 10 wins, really dominant. The only Williamsburg won at 113 with Riker DeWitt, Wyatt Donahoe at 138, Brady Greer at 175, and Elias Chance at 190. For Alburnett, Tyler Gerhold, really good freshman at 106. I like what I've seen out of him here early on. He got a pin for Alburnett. Atlee DeWitt, one of their returning medalists. He got a win over Charlie Foster. Jackson Port at 126. Cam Roberts at 132. Of course, Owen Hendrickson, one of those leaders, 144 with a fall. Wesley Northrup, Cooper Franklin, Hunter Sauer. They came away with a couple with bonus point victories as well. Sevi Riddell down at 215 got a pin, and then Egan Fleshman with a big win over Carson Greer. Probably the best matchup of that duel, 5-2 at heavyweight. And that's another quality win for Fleshman, who's beaten Feuerbach from Solon and now Greer from Williamsburg. So two big wins for the sophomore there at heavyweight.
Yeah, nice. And Alburnett and Williamsburg, again, like Iowa Valley, very well coached. Coach Rush at Alburnett, Coach Eckenrod at Williamsburg. So they always put great teams out on the mat.
Two former Cohawks there. Eckenrod back in the day was a Cohawk, and of course Rush, real one of the Cohawks' best wrestlers.
Two-timer.
Yep. So I believe Williamsburg, speaking of Eckenrod, they'll grant his dad, Jerry Eckenrod, at Benton Community, the tournament this weekend named after him, the Benton Bobcat Eckenrod Invitational. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's where they head this weekend. Solon, they had their own dual tournament as well. They came away with a win. There, they got first over Wilton, who was second. New Hampton, Turkey Valley, third. Albia, Cascade, Central DeWitt finished things off. Solon beat Cascade 62-12. Central DeWitt 57-14. 56-23 over New Hampton, Turkey Valley. They beat Albia 45-31 and then finished off with a 39-32 win over Wilton. So that's a quality a dual win there over the Beavers.
Right. And a tight meet to be, 39-32, as you said. So, yeah, heck yeah. And there, both of those teams have, Wilton's got some strong individuals that, so that's a nice win for Solon.
For sure. Just want to mention a couple other here really quick. Independence went 3-0. No surprises there. They beat Mid Prairie, Sadell, and Hampton Dumont fairly handily at their home this weekend. And then Iowa City West went to the Dion Cobb duels in Central Iowa. They came away with a win over Ankeny Centennial, 51-26. They beat Marshalltown 58-15. lost to Indianola 44-27, and beat Dallas Center Grimes beat them 46-26. Iowa City West had a nice win over Linn-Mar right before Christmas break, and then we're going to see them Thursday when they host Cedar Rapids Xavier. So I know they've got some young talent. I think they have a couple guys out with injury right now. But Iowa City West, they've climbed up to like 8th or 9th in the dual rankings. I think they might even be a little bit stronger of a traditional tournament team with some of the guys that can score big points like Alexander Pierce, Matthew Tron, Diego Roberti's part of that freshman group at 113, where he's wrestled really well, took the top-ranked kid from Dowling to a close duel or close match. So Iowa City West is a team really need to keep an eye out for here over the next 6 weeks.
Right, agreed. And then I'm going to mention a couple other meets that were just individual meets. City High wrestled and beat Liberty, so it was an inter-city meet there. They won 46-25, and then maybe the biggest duel of the weekend, KJ, in the 3A rankings anyway, or division anyway. So top 10, I believe, both teams are in the top 10. Dubuque Hempstead and Western Dubuque. 30, that went down 36-33. That must have been a fun meet to be at.
Okay, did you see? I know there was a video. Gym was packed.
I saw the gym, yeah.
And it's a great rivalry. But did you see the JV meet too?
I did not.
It was like 36-35.
Oh man,
so both of them. I mean that's great when you have not just the varsity going down to the wire, but the JV too and a packed crowd. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yes, been there and done that. So I've had teams that actually 3 different levels. Back in the day, we had varsity, and then we had the 10th grade before it was a 4-year school. Then it was 9-10. Yep. And then it's the JV. So we had 3 different.
Yep.
So we had 2 mats going with them. I mean, we just had some fun battles. So I definitely get that. That's a blast. That's fun to hear.
Yeah. And one thing I want to note too, you mentioned the Liberty City High duel. Interesting to note that a couple state place winners, I don't believe either one of them wrestled the first half of the season, but Landon Bell back in the lineup for Iowa City Liberty, the MVC champ. He was back in. He had a fantastic football season. I don't know if that was what kept him out of the lineup here the first half, but he was back in one, and then Rafael Atuma at 215, state medalist for City High. I think he had a little bit of an injury. They expected him to come back here after the break, and he had a win there for the Little Hawks. So just wanted to point that out with that.
That's good reporting right there.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, right?
Good stuff right there, man.
All right. Okay. So with the results behind us from last weekend.
KJ, there's one other one I know you wanted to mention was the Clash.
Yes, that's right. Sorry. Thanks for reminding me with that. You've been up there before. You know what that tournament's like. It's a great dual tournament with teams from all over the place. Not a lot of Iowa representation, maybe compared to some other years. But Decorah was up there. I believe Bettendorf was up there as well.
That's it.
Decorah, that's a team we've talked about a few times there this season already. But they went up there. I believe they went 3-3. Ended up going 2-1 in the 4th place pool. But not a bad showing there for the Vikings.
Right. So it's a 2-day tournament, and they put you into a bracket, and then however you finish in your bracket, then you get thrown into a pool there, and then it's a 4-team pool, and then you wrestle 3 meets within that pool, and so they finished, like you said, 2nd and 4th. Bettendorf ended up 4th in the 2nd pool, so you can kind of equate that to be an 8th place and 14th, though it doesn't really work in my mind. It's just that first bracket that they put you in that first day. That could, it's hard to seed a tournament when they're coming from 6 or 8 states or whatever. They come from California. Right. I think I wrote it down here. It's 29 teams, 10 states, some of the far off states, Ohio, Florida, California, Idaho. So they're coming from everywhere. Yeah.
Right. And Decorah wrestled, I think, a team from Florida and from California.
Yeah, I got both of those, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. They do a real nice job. Now, when we went to it, it was up in Rochester. I see now that it's moved over, I think, over to Wisconsin.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that's about. That's where we need our buddy Wyatt. He'd be all over that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he was a staple at the Clash.
Yes, he was.
Wyatt.
Yeah. Did you notice that the team that won it, that was first, went undefeated on the week, was St. Michael of Albertville? Do you remember that name?
Yep.
From last week's episode. That's 2 weeks ago now. That's the team that beat Southeast Polk 39-30. Now, their closest meet at the Clash was 39-21, and it wasn't even in their second day pool. So you can see that Southeast Polk lost by 9. That's their St. Albert Michaelsville from St. Michael from Eldersville. They're a pretty decent team, obviously. I thought that's kind of interesting to compare them to Southeast Polk there.
You just kind of mentioned something, and I don't know why during the last one, when you mentioned the Southeast Polk matchup with St. Albert or St. Michael. I think one of my close friends and former BV teammates is a St. Michael Knight. Daryl Becker, who was in my wedding, I was an All-American at Buena Vista, middleweight. He's a St. Mike. Him and his family, I think they moved back there. I think he helped out with the program a little bit. I think he was a product of St. Michael.
Hey, how about that?
I just texted him to see if I could get a response, and I'll share this. It's funny because when I think of Becker, and he just responded back, and so I have that connection to St. Michael with Daryl Becker. He was a wrestler for them, and like I said, an All-American at BV. But the one thing about Daryl that I'll always remember when we were going to school, that's when the movie Fargo came out. And while we were watching Fargo, a bunch of wrestlers are in the dorm room. We're watching Fargo one night, and he absolutely he jumped up and he got mad and he turned the movie off, and he went into a diatribe about, holy cow, we don't talk like that up there. There's no way. And of course, we're all immediately, when he starts going off and sounding just like one of the characters, we're dying. We're just laughing our butts off. Holy cow. We don't talk like that, eh? We don't talk like that up there.
Was he serious?
No how. We don't talk like that.
And was he serious?
Yes. Yes. And we're like, Daryl, Becker, do you hear yours? But we had a radio show called Big Daddy and the Minnesota Flash, which will forever be something I'll remember from my time Buena Vista and Daryl Becker. And there ties in with St. Michael that you were mentioning, who won the Clash. So
that's cool.
There you go. All right. So after the personal story there, I am looking forward to this so much since you mentioned it. You come up with some great ideas. Um, the Metro Draft.
Right. So let me explain it. Let me explain it to the listeners. So it's a draft, and we're going to draft the 7 schools in Cedar Rapids, Marion area, and so each of us gets to pick their all-time great from that school and try and make the best team that they can possibly make. So it's kind of fun. So KJ will get a choice of a Metro school. I'll get a choice of a Metro school, and it doesn't have to be the same one at the same time. But eventually, we'll fill our 7 team, our school team, with an individual. So, all right. Now I didn't bring a coin. I forgot that. So, do you want to just pick odd or even?
All right, I'll pick. And let's just say this. So we are disqualified, and our family members are disqualified. I'm just going to put that out there right now.
Oh, I got to scratch Larry off then. Yeah.
Okay. I'll pick odd.
It was odd. Okay, it's your choice.
All
so
right.
You get to name the school and the person, and I kind of have a feeling I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So actually, I think I'm going to throw a curveball here. Okay. I think originally I was going to go Cedar Rapids, Washington. But I think there's a no-brainer for the number 1. And I really wanted to mention somebody else that I kind of thought of and bring about some trivia. So I'm going to stay clear of Cedar Rapids, Washington.
Okay.
At least if you want to take it, go ahead.
Depends on your choice.
I'm going to go to Xavier.
Oh,
okay. I'm going to go to Xavier. And I'm going to take, if I could say, outside of my brother.
Now let me preface that with Xavier, for the listeners, you can go Regis, LaSalle, Xavier. See that falls under the umbrella of
right.
Xavier. So
right, and that's a perfect point to bring up, because outside of my brother, this person was somebody that when I was growing up in the 80s and looking up, there are some great wrestlers in the metro area, in at each school, right at the time. This person, he, between his humility and his faith and his accomplishments on the mat, I'm going with Johnny Regan from LaSalle. He's my number 1 pick. I'm taking that one. And I'll just say it. It was between taking him at Xavier or taking Gary McCall at Washington. Two people I idolized and looked up to there in the mid 80s. But I'm going to snag Johnny Regan over on the west side with Xavier with my number 1 pick.
Okay. Here's my choice order. John Regan first, Gary McCall second. Yes. Okay, then. Hey. So my first pick, of course, is, and I got the pleasure to coach Gary his sophomore year. What a treat, man. I just love that guy. And Johnny Regan, too. I saw him at the Hy-Vee grocery store a couple weeks back, and we had a nice chat.
Oh, my
just
gosh.
Awesome people. And John would come over to our room. I'd hold a free clinic in the summer. I wouldn't get any Jeff kids my very first year. I did, but John and who else came with him? Another LaSalle would come over and into our. So no Jeff kid showed up. He did. I don't care. I'd still coaching him. So
yeah. Oh amazing. Yeah. I tell you, and Gary McCall. I'm getting older and more emotional, but Gary McCall was one of those people. Obviously, he wasn't larger than life. He was short. He was a lightweight. Went on. Was he a 4-time All-American at Iowa State?
3, I think.
3. Okay, but he was a 2-time state champ at Wash, and he was somebody that Larry qualify. I think it was Gary's junior year when Larry qualified for Regis. And I remember sitting in the stair, in one of the staircases, or not, like the aisle, in vets.
Mm-hmm.
And Gary still having his medal, and he ran up to hug his mom and talk to people. And he's, we grew up near the same neighborhood and stuff, by McKinley. But he sat down and talked to me for like state champ.
Yeah.
He still had his medal on. Ran up there to talk to his family, and I said
That's
something.
Gary.
He sat down. He talked to me really quick. That was huge. That was huge.
It hurts.
Then I got to see his name up on the wall every time I walked into practice and stuff, and it was something that was always really cool. He, just like Johnny, great human being on top of being a great wrestler.
It's tough because we can't. At least we each got one of those really great and nice guys. Now, my story with Gary was, I got to coach him at Wash his sophomore year, and then when I decided, it was not an easy choice either to lateral over to Jefferson.
Go back home.
Yeah, to back home. But when I did that, I told Gary, I said, Gary, my biggest regret is that I'm not going to be able to hand you your medal at state, because the winning coach gets to hand the wrestler the medal, and then the son of a gun went and won 2 of them on me. I always tease him about that. So, and I tell you what, when he won it, no one jumped higher than me, and I was so proud of that kid. One of his wins, I believe, against the Marshalltown kid. What's his name anyway? I don't think he scored a takedown, and that was Gary's strength too. So yeah, he was on the mat.
Yep.
I mean, he's strong everywhere, but especially there. All right, so it's your choice for number 2. What school are you going with?
Boy. Okay, so I'm going to let you go with Jeff. Okay, I'm leaving Jefferson for you.
Oh, thanks a lot. You take the heat off of me. You stink. But by the way, that was my last pick.
Okay. I'm going to go with Barry Davis at Prairie. I'll go with Prairie. I'll take Barry Davis.
That's my 3rd pick. Oh. Okay. All right. And it's a tough choice because I'm going to go with Linmar.
Okay.
And even that's not an easy choice. Yes and no.
You would think, but it really isn't.
No. I mean, I'm going with Jay Borschel.
Okay.
4-time state champ. Did it at 4 different weight classes. But that's not the reason we say not easy. I mean, you got a lot of choices there, including his teammate, Matt McDonough. Yeah. See if I remember right. Matt was a 3-timer and also a finalist, a second. Is that right?
No, I think he finished like somewhere between 4th and 6th his freshman year.
Freshman year, was it? Okay.
Yeah. And then was a 3-timer.
Okay.
And
so
it had stacked weight classes.
Yeah. Strong weight choice there. So I went with Jay Borschel, number 2.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Okay. So
I probably shouldn't have said anything since you haven't picked Linmar yet, but that's an easy second.
Right. All right. So the next one. So I'm down to 2 schools here. You know what? I'll go with Joey Slayton at Kennedy. I'll go Kennedy, and I'll take Joey Slayton out of that group. 4-time finalist, 2-time state champion. Want to say he was a 3 or 4-time MVC champ. Then went on to be a an NCAA runner-up to Coleman Scott for the Hawkeyes. I'll go with Joey Slayton.
Yeah. Kennedy was going to be my. Okay, so that being said, let's see. I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with. I'm going to back up to Xavier Regis LaSalle.
Okay.
And a couple of. Boy. For me, I've got a number of choices. Jeff Steffen was their first state champ, lived right up the street from me.
Yep.
No longer, he passed away. Was actually taught or worked at lacrosse there. Anyway, then Corey Starry, state champ.
Yep.
And then here's my sentimental pick, Mike Kane. You know, if it wasn't for for Dave Belichick, Kaner,
yeah, right.
Too. Yeah,
he was Kaner. I don't think people understand how tough Mike Kane was.
Exactly. And then of course my connection with Mike's a great friend. I'm assistant coach for 10 years for me, middle school coach that fed our program. Just nothing nice but nice to say about Mike Kane. But I gotta go with Tony Milkoff. He was a 3-time second, not a champ, but he was a second 3 times and third a 4th time. So I mean, there's a guy that did it all 4 years there. So I'm going with Milkoff.
Okay, since we both picked Xavier, I'll write down some of the guys that I have listed as possibilities with Johnny Regan being number 1. Tony Milkoff obviously was part of that. Mike Shedeck, who was a 2-time champ for heavyweight.
Definitely.
Christian Stanek, who was Xavier's first 4-time state medalist. Just Xavier, not including LaSalle and Regis. And then a sentimental favorite for me would have been Jerry Hansel, who was a state runner-up. Part of that that Regis group with my brother and stuff that I followed from gym to gym. All over the place. Jerry Hansel was somebody that was larger than life for me. So those were some of the guys from Xavier. James Colwell as well. He was somebody I enjoyed watching and covering for Xavier. He was a scrappy multi-state medalist for Xavier that came through at a time where the MVC in those middle or those lower weights absolutely stacked.
Yeah.
That was the Borschel, Slayton, Mueller kind of era. And James Colwell was pretty darn good, but man, it was such a tough time.
Right.
But those are some of the Xavier guys that I kind of had, of course, as possibilities.
Right. And Stanek's still wrestling it for Central, transferred from Iowa State to Central. And then Hansel, I got to coach him in the All-Star meet, Minnesota, Iowa All-Star meet. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Now it's your choice, number 4. What do you got?
Okay, so I'm gonna. I kind of feel like I'm cherry picking here, since I'm going from school to school. I'm going to go to Marion for my number 1 at Marion. I'm going to take Aaron Conway.
Okay.
Aaron Conway. I can still remember the T-shirts when he won his state title. It said there's the. I said I can remember it. Now I'm blanking. There's the wrong way, there's the right way, and then there's the Conway.
Oh, there you go.
And I still remember his semifinal match when he was beaten. I think it was Feiner from Emmitsburg, and the time's running down, and he's on top, and he just turns to the crowd and gives one of these fist pumps. Gives me goosebumps because I can still picture it. there at Vets Auditorium and the Marion crowd just going nuts because he might have been their first finalist since Nate Wernberg, maybe a heavyweight in the 90s, maybe. But I think it had been a while for Bruce Weisinger, and Aaron got it done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll take Aaron Conway then for Marion.
Okay. So I'm going to go Kennedy next.
Okay.
You picked Slayton. So I'm going to go with this. Sorry, brothers. I got to split you up. Choose one or the other. That's by brothers. I mean, Lance and Brett Paulson. That's got to be my choice. I got to go with the two-timer, Lance.
So,
yeah.
Yep. That's who I had listed as well. I know Brent, he was somebody that, I want to say maybe there's like Matt Dickey or somebody from Waterloo West that maybe beat him one year.
Yeah.
But Brent was somebody that could have been a two-timer as well. But Lance, I think people forget about Lance Paulson a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe since time's removed, but a two-time state champ, he was really, really good for the Cougars.
Haven't been a lot of two-timers in the Cedar Rapids area. He was one of them. But.
All right, so we're back to me here, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I got to see who's off all the board. All right. So, like I said, I'm gonna keep giving you. I'm gonna let you have first dibs on Jefferson.
Well, it's gonna come down to whose choice it is.
Right. That's true. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Linn-Mar, and I'm gonna take McDonough. Yeah.
Easy choice.
I'm gonna take McDonough there. Could have gone with Knockaborn, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go with McDonough.
There's a lot of Linn-Mar kids that you could throw in there.
He was Matt was one of my favorites, along with Jay to cover there as far as those standouts for striker.
All right. My fifth choice is going to be Prairie, and I got to go with the former Iowa head coach, Jimmy Z.
Yep.
I mean, there's talk about a ton of choices there, huh?
Yeah, right.
They have 5 two-timers. Prairie does. Jeez. Jimmy, Dan Dubashar, Dan Osborne, Matt Hatcher, and Zach Witt.
Dubashar.
Yeah.
Boy, yeah. That's a name from the past. And I'm ashamed to admit this, but I kind of slept on Zach Witt too.
Yeah.
He was a two-timer. And remember, he was he didn't qualify his sophomore year because they had the 3 top guys in his weight class at their district.
Over in Marshalltown.
Cody Caldwell from Waverly Shell Rock, I believe, and Gustavo Martinez from Marshalltown finished first and second at their district and first and second at state. And Zach ended up getting third after being a medalist his freshman year, and then went off and was he unbeaten his last 2 years?
I believe so. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And then Matt Hatcher. You know what? At the time, Matt Hatcher was, he was explosive. He was one of those phenomenal athletes. At Prairie, he was one of those kind of guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I still remember him kind of whipping the tail off Zach Light at the Linn-Mar Invitational. When Lisbon and Prairie both went there before it became duels. And we're just amazed by how dominant Matt really was.
He whooped about anyone we put on the mat. He was so nice and so good. But
and at one of the Little Hawk tournaments. I got second to Matt Hatcher. I got absolutely destroyed by him, and my dad made me go take a picture next to him after the. I shared that picture with Matt. We had a good laugh because you could tell I was not wanting to be in the picture. I think I still had tears, and good laugh there. But Matt was a stud. All right, so let's see.
I think I'm going to end up having you're. This is mean. You need to pick Jefferson.
Okay. I'm actually. All right. You know what? I'll take it off your.
You don't have to. I'm just teasing.
No, I'll take it off your plate here.
For the record, there's only one choice for me,
Okay.
even though there's two choices.
Okay. So I'm going to go a different direction than what you might think. Mark and I are in the same grade. We both graduated 93. I had an upfront seat to watching everything he did as a Jayhawk, as a Hawkeye. One of my old gym teachers was Mike Gallagher, as well, state champ there, went to Luther. The one I'm going to pick, I don't know, this guy seems almost mythical to me. I'm going with Mel Whelan.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be my pick. I think when it comes to Metro Wrestling, he's ground zero for that. He was a trailblazer, in my opinion. He was the first 3-time state champ in the Metro. I'm going with Mel.
So here's a little story on Mel.
Did I take your pick?
No, there was only one pick there.
Okay, I thought so.
But I mean, for me, obviously. So with Mel, who was my other pick in case you took Mark? But I can go deep into the Jefferson history. So with Mel started his sophomore. It was only a 3-year high school back then, and Mel started the season as a junior varsity wrestler. He would not have been a varsity wrestler unless back then you could graduate at the semester mark. I forget who the varsity wrestler was, graduated, and then Mel went on and won the state title, his first of 3. So, and then of course Mel coached at Kennedy and various places, lives out in Las Vegas right now. Good friend, and it would be easy to pick him. Of course, you could also go my teammate Gary Bentram, who should have been a 2-timer, except for a suicide cradle when he was ahead 5-1 or something, and kid slipped the arm and pinned him, and that was his only loss of the season. And then went on to be a 4-time Division II champion, and so that could have been an easy pick, or a solid pick anyway. But for me, of course, there's only one. There's only one a college Hodge Award winner from Cedar Rapids, and that's our buddy Mark Ironside. So
right.
I thank you for.
I had a feeling. I had him written down as number 1, but I'm like, I'm good with Mel Whelan too, because he, like I said, he's
3-timer.
Yep. Okay, so that leaves Washington for me and Marion for you.
Yep.
So my Washington pick is going to be maybe a little surprising. I think of some of the, Landy Waller. I mean, I messaged you with some of the names there. Glenn Jones was a state champ. Chuck Jones. Glenn Jones came back and was a coach at Washington my last 2 years and helped me a ton. Jamie Byrne was a state champion for Washington, and our families have known each other for decades. Went to school with his sister Katie. His brother Rick and my brother Larry wrestled at Regis. When I was getting into wrestling at All Saints, Jamie Byrne was there, and somebody I looked up to. So that was tough. But the person I'm going to go with is Earl Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why is because he is the last D1 All-American from Washington. He wrestled at Iowa State. He finished 8th in 1993. The interesting thing about that,
yeah.
Do you know who he beat in the blood round?
I know very well because my brother was coaching him. You know it darn right.
It was Jamie
and honestly, it hurt because you and I, Don Briggs guy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not. I'll let you say it.
Well, Earl ended up beating Jamie. They were teammates together at Wash, and I think they were a workout partner. I mean,
Sure.
Jamie went to UNI to wrestle. Earl went to Iowa State to wrestle, and that year they ended up at the same weight. In '93, nationals were at Ames at Iowa State, if I remember correctly, and Earl ended up beating him in the blood round. And those two former teammates in high school at Wash. That was a big deal. I mean, I remember, oh my God, Earl and Jamie are wrestling each other. One's going to be an All-American, and one of them's going to have their career ended right there. And Earl ended up winning. Here are the guys that finished ahead of Harrison in that bracket. Marcus Malika of Arizona State, Josh Robbins of Penn State, but these two really stood out to me. Sean Bourmet of Michigan and Dan Wormsberger of Michigan State.
Huh.
Two outstanding guys there, as well as Marcus Malika. So,
yeah.
I'm going with Earl Harrison.
Wow. That's a great pick. Great pick. And here's some of the names that, besides that, here's what you mentioned. Carl Waller. Lanny was a runner-up. Carl was a champ, if I'm remembering right. Glenn and Chuck Jones, like you said. The Bassetts, the Doolins. Oh, man, so good. And then I threw in the Rays.
Yeah,
Nathan and Marion Ray, and then Blakely, and then Newmeister, state champ, and then Steve Eden. I don't think he was a state champ, but a really good wrestler, great boxer and tough man champion. And so it's kind of fun for me to reminisce back through the Washington history there. So anyway, so good choice with Earl.
Yeah, and those Washington Jefferson battles in the 70s that you were a part of too, I'm sure.
It was crazy.
Memories flooded in.
Yeah, crazy. All right, so that leaves me with Marion, right?
Yep.
All right, you gave me what I went with John Royer, state champ, 1989. So that was my Marion pick there. So.
Yep. Had John and Don as the other two.
Oh yeah.
John and Don Royer that would be decent selections there as well. Matt Wyckoff. I think some people forget about him. Matt Wyckoff was, before 100 pins really became not necessarily common, but before that became maybe a regular milestone, he was a 100 pin guy for Marion. Went on to be a really good football player at Co. But he didn't necessarily have the state title or state finishes, but he was a darn good wrestler as well for Marion.
Well, that was fun. So let me refresh. So you have, I did it alphabetically. So you have Mel Whelan, Joyce Slayton, Barry Davis, Earl Harrison, John Reagan, Matt McDonough, and Aaron Conway. I had Mark Ironside, Lance Paulson, Jimmy Zaleski, Gary McCall, Tony Milkoff, Jay Worshel, and John Royer. You know what?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure my team beats your team.
I
I'm just kidding.
I think it's pretty close, but
cool.
I'm kind of looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, I think you probably outdid me on that one.
So honestly, I just said that I didn't really fit as I was reading those. That was fun.
Well,
That's good.
That was neat. And that brings me up to one thing too. You know, I love what Waterloo has done with the Battle of Waterloo and the hall. You know, they have their own Battle of Waterloo Hall of Fame. The one thing I've never understood with the history that we have here in the Metro, you know, with what Jefferson and Prairie, you know, like you mentioned, those Washington teams in the 70s, you know, the individuals at LaSalle and Xavier, you know, at one time, 20% of the D1 national champions were from Linn-Mar. In 2010, 2 out of the 10 D1 champs were from the same high school here in the Metro. Mentioned some of the standouts for Marion. Why there isn't a Cedar Rapids Marion Wrestling Hall of Fame, I don't know. You know, there are other sports that, you know, they do a great job with the history of fast pitch softball and softball in general here in Cedar Rapids, and they have their own brick and mortar building. You know, Norway has a base not too far away. Norway has their baseball tribute in their Hall of Fame. Why there hasn't been a Cedar Rapids Marion Wrestling Hall of Fame kind of established to honor the great wrestling history of the city. I don't know. I don't understand why that hasn't ever really taken off.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long. You know, that'd be fun to get a group together and try and brainstorm what we could do to get that started. Yeah.
You know, and like I said, we just rattled off a team for each of us, and you know, we each had other options outside of those two. I mean, you know, you could have had a full fantasy league of people drafted from each high school, and there's still more coming down the pike.
You could have a fantasy team from the brothers of what we just named.
Yeah,
you know, the Zaleskis. Well, you know that Chuck and Glenn
Ironside. Jones.
Yeah, right, Ironside, Paulson, you know, but Conway, but you know, it's just crazy. It's so deep. You know, are there 3 Zaleskis? I'm missing Lenny, Jimmy, and
I think there is a third Zaleski, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, you know, you got the Ironsides. There's 3 state champions right there. You know,
yeah.
Mark was a 2-timer, but Matt and Tim state champs.
You know,
Hatcher. Yeah. But you mean, you know, look at your team. You got a silver medalist, Olympic silver medalist on there.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Jimmy did he also win a medal? I
don't think it was an Olympic medal.
Okay. But you know, you got
but I'm not sure.
Hodge Award winner and
yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. No, I seriously, you know, they're Big Ten and Big Ten champs. Yep. You know, All Americans. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this. Chuck and Glenn Jones are Gary McCall's uncles, so get the family connection there.
I think I did. I think I did know that.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm going to lie and say I did.
I know
that was
because
fun. Thanks for bringing that up. And I hope people had fun kind of either predicting picks or had your own picks in the hopper while we were doing this and doing it alongside us as well. So,
and we might be wrong, but we might have certainly omitted names. I know I did that could have been potential.
Oh,
choices.
yeah. I had a whole list from each school that could have gone down depending on what was picked. So,
right.
Okay, we're running a little long here. We've got some stuff for this week coming up. The Eckenrod at Benton Community, Anamosa, Assumption, Jefferson will be there. Dallas Center Grimes, who had the win over Iowa City West, Don Bosco, Independence, Union Community, Vinton Shellsburg, Waukee Northwest, West Delaware, West Liberty, and Williamsburg, part of the field there. That's one of the best all conference or all class tournaments here, getting things started the second half of the season.
Yep. And then you also have your Linn-Mar duels that have Clear Creek, Amana, Linn-Mar, Mount Vernon, Western Dubuque, Xavier, to name a few. And so that's a dual tournament, so that should be pretty decent too.
Yeah, I mentioned Mount Vernon coming off nice performances last week. Western Dubuque really, really good as well. The Jack Mendenhall, that's one of those staples in the schedule over at Ames. Ankeny Centennial will be there. Bettendorf, Dowling in the field, Fort Dodge, Iowa City High, Waverly Shell Rock, West Des Moines Valley. City High, the only area team over there this year. But the Mendenhall is always one to keep an eye
on. Gary Curtis tournament has 16-team tournament. Has I mentioned that because it has Albernet and Wilton.
Yep.
That will, let's see. Is Albernet 2A this year?
Yes.
And Wilton's still 1A?
I think Wilton is 2A as well.
2A, okay, 2A. And then West Branch has a good team this year, so good tournament there.
Yeah, with Humphrey and Gates and Cash Hatfield. They've got some really good guys. And then Regina, I don't know if people were able to see the story I did on Nelson Brands taking over at Regina. But did something from that right before Christmas break. So make sure to catch that and all our content at thegazette.com. Any last thoughts, Briggsy?
I'm going to mention one last tournament, the Tumwa Invitational, a 2-day tournament.
Ooh.
Has Iowa City West, Liberty, Center Point, and Prairie. So that's a new tournament. I'm not familiar with that one. So
yeah, so that's that'll be a good one.
Let me rephrase that. We went to the Tumwa Invitational many years, but not as a 2-day tournament.
Not a 2-day, yeah.
Yeah. So
new format.
Right. There. I guess it's probably not that new, but new to me.
All right. Well, just want to make a quick plug on I'll have our fourth set of individual all-class rankings at thegazette.com. Also doing a little something on Liam Weber, junior at West Delaware, ranked number 2 at 157. He's undefeated so far this season. He had injury his freshman year, didn't have the finish he wanted as a sophomore, has been really focused on just being better each time out, and he's thrived so far in the first half of the season. So check that out at thegazette.com. As I mentioned, Briggsy and I will be at Iowa City West on Thursday. I'm going to try to do double duty on Saturday, get to Linn-Mar and Benton Community. Wish me luck on that. But we'll wrap that up. We'll wrap this up with our first pinning combination of the 2026 calendar year, and we look forward to more high school wrestling going forward. Coach Briggs, thanks for coming up with a great idea on the draft. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's keep wrestling on the move.